Chapter 37. I lost my brain completely. "You're an attractive woman," my son-in-law, Tony, said. "You should be getting laid." "Hey," McKelty said, feeling my anguish, "that's my mom." "Right, but she's still an attractive woman," he said. "She should be getting laid." Oh my gosh. From being the most chaste of the chaste to, well, sort of agreeing with Tony. I mean, not in those words, but good Lord, I had been with a man who just wasn't into me for 27 years. I didn't even know what a real kiss felt like. Worse, I felt like a 15-year-old girl, worried that she couldn't do it right. Kiss, I mean, obviously. I tried to ease truly into the idea that I would start dating. As usual, that didn't go as planned. Would it be okay if I dated? I asked my 12-year-old daughter, who still believed boys are kind of gross. "I like us just how we are," she said. "Okay, I'll keep it quiet for a bit." I hired a matchmaker, which feels incredibly modern and old-fashioned at the same time. There was no talk of a dowry, but we did talk about how to handle my past. Plague mom of 6 seeks understanding, hot, bald dad who has tattoos and likes motorcycles. They vetted the guys and did a bit of a background check, so I felt safe. I had Truly at home, and I didn't need any nonsense. But it wasn't working. I couldn't get beyond the idea that Cody didn't find me attractive. If he didn't, why would anybody else? I needed to feel good about myself physically, which was different from loving myself as a mom and even as a woman. It's hard to date if you don't feel pretty or beautiful, certainly not sexy. The matchmaker offered wonderful advice, but I didn't have a clue what I was doing. On the first date, I told the guy everything. That didn't last. "You don't have to tell them everything all at once," the matchmaker said. When I dated Cody, he already knew everything about me. Everyone in my community knew everything about me. Cody even knew everything about my parents and my grandparents. "I don't?" I asked. "Girl, no." I worried about being recognized. If I had some cool, I might have said, "I have this big Instagram following where I cook with my daughter and go on great trips." But I had such a hard time not telling all my truth after being raised in a secretive community. "Do you have any kids?" "I do, and grandkids too." Yeah, I hadn't gotten there yet. For whatever reason, I didn't click with any of the men I met through the matchmaker. As I listened to one of my favorite podcasts, an advertisement came on for an online site. It was a bit more general than, say, formerplagues.com. Maybe that will be my next business. Going online was tough. I don't think single, middle-aged men make up Sister Wives' main audience. But if someone, or the female friend helping with their profile, recognized me from an advertisement or magazine spread, the date would be weird. There would be no glamour shots, fudging my age, or waiting until later to talk about how many kids I had, or big decisions about how much to say about the divorce. Anyone who watched the show knew what I looked like when I sobbed, how hard I had worked to be healthy, and how I handled hard conversations. Deep breath. I worked on my profile at McKelty's house. "Oh no," she said. "You need new pictures. These are not sexy at all." "What is this thing, sexy?" My daughter started to read through the bio I had worked so hard on. "Mom, just no. This is not sassy. This is not you." Is it possible to feel both ground into nothing and built up in the same moment? It was like boot camp, with my daughter as the drill sergeant, re-socialization. There had been a gentle evolution toward less frumpy when I left the church. I remember being excited to buy capris that never would have covered those garments. Then I bought long shorts, and then short dresses, which I love. I think you can see some of the changes through the years on the show, but I still try to stay modest out of respect for our community. At home, I wore shorts and tank tops constantly. I put in my earrings. I bought a bunch of skirts. But I was still working on my self-esteem. Being comfortable because it's hot and feeling attractive are different things. I needed to love my body more. It's fine to love who you are, all of who you are. My girls had thoughts about my wardrobe. You need to dress differently, Mykelti said. You have a great body, and you need to show it off. She's blunt, that child, but she's empowering. I showed her, Isabel, and Aspen my outfits before I went out on dates. That's not going to work, they'd say when I showed them an outfit. You can't wear things like that. Also, you need heels. Or you need to show more skin. When I was dating, my girls always knew exactly what to ask. They wanted to make sure I found the right guy and that he treated me well. Tony, of course, harassed me like crazy for all the particulars. You're not knowing the details, I'd say. I knew he wanted to make sure I was okay. He's a funny dude. Are you getting laid yet? He said once. We're not going to watch Truly anymore if you're not getting laid. I think he liked to see me turn a deep shade of crepe myrtle. As I scrolled one day through a sea of profile pics of men with fish, why do they think we want to see their fish? On boats or in oddly lit basement shots obviously taken with their computers or by a fellow axe murderer, David hit me differently. I messaged him, and I found out later that he had to pay $60 to get back into the site because he hadn't been active for 3 years. I wish I had taken screenshots of it all, of my profile, of David's, of our messages back and forth. His pictures were perfect. His bio was perfect. He was even on his way to Disneyland. As usual, before my first date with David, I sent my girls a picture of my outfit. I had these leather pants and a blue off-the-shoulder blouse. Oh my God, Mykelti texted back. Yes, that's what you're wearing on your date. It was so out of my comfort zone, I even wore heels. That was the first time I remember feeling sexy. The first date was perfect, flirty, deep, silly. But on the second date, I laid everything out on the table. Oh, I know all about polygamy, he said. My sisters lived it. I mean, it's a small club. It was not the response I expected. You don't want to live it, right? I asked. Oh, God, no, he said. Then we're fine, I said. I have a sister wife, Janelle. She's going to come with me everywhere I go, but your relationship with her will be platonic, of course. Done, he said. We talked about the show a bit. I was telling him some little things and how it affected my life, and finally, he broke in with, Cody's a dumbass. I stared at him with my mouth hanging open. You watch my show? He did not look like a typical Sister Wives viewer. I don't picture you all as middle-aged bald dudes, no offense, because I think that's totally hot. Girl, he said, I don't live under a rock. Yes, I've watched your show. That's when he told me his favorite episode was the one where I went back to Flagstaff to get my snowblower. True story. David was watching an episode of Sister Wives when his sister, who had lived polygamy, walked in. What are you watching this crap for? She asked. She hated the show because she hadn't enjoyed living polygamy. As he watched, he realized I had left Cody. He says he realized that day that out of all the guys in the world, he might be the only one who could understand my experience because his sisters had lived polygamy and he paid attention. They talked to him about their heartache, and he listened. I would be perfect for her, he told me later that he'd been thinking. Still, he didn't expect to actually meet me. He watched the show because he saw his sisters fight constantly with their sister wives, and he was hoping for drama. I tuned it out most of the time, to be honest with you, because you guys never fought, he told me. You were boring. Anyway, he also likes the episode where Janelle dropped the F-bomb, and the one where Cody yells at me, "Just the knife in the kidneys." "You're really saying this on national television?" David told me he remembers saying as he watched the kidney episode. He loved that I sat there quietly, saying all my words with my eyes. David knew all of it. He knew about my kids and how I managed myself in a fight, how Cody had dragged down my self-esteem, and even how I ended the relationship. I didn't have to tell David a thing about Cody. He had paid attention. He was perfect, except for one tiny thing. This time, I was ready for romance. I wanted to feel all the tingly, twitter-pated, tickly feelings my yellow-toweled self wanted her fairy tale. We went to see The Little Mermaid. They played Kiss the Girl. Here it comes. I've been waiting years, never gonna do a first kiss at the altar again. This had better knock my socks off. I puckered up in my mind, in preparation. This would be the perfect moment. Listener, he didn't kiss me. He didn't hold my hand. I thought. This is weird. Right, based on my vast dating experience. But I had spent an awful lot of time in the bathtub with a novel. A couple of days later, I had a terrible on-camera interview in my office for Sister Wives. Even as I was starting to date, I'd have to talk about my feelings about the past. I just wanted to move forward, but I kept getting dragged straight back to that last bedroom conversation with Cody. Today just sucked. I texted David. We texted each other all day, even without a kiss. "Well, why don't you just come over and talk to me?" he said. What? Wasn't it a little early to visit his home? I was surprised he'd asked, and even more surprised I was considering it. Shocked even. "Yeah, just come over," he said. I dressed in my sweats because it was a set day, and I needed, every time, my most comfortable clothes. My stomach was upset because I don't like talking about that stuff. It's yucky and stressful, and it makes me feel angry. What if I just tell him everything? I thought as I drove over. What if I just told him how I feel? He already knew how many kids I have and that I was a plig. What if I tell him and he wants nothing to do with me? I thought. He hasn't even kissed me. What if he's not attracted to me? When I got to his house, I said it straight. "I'm going to tell you how my day went and how I'm feeling. But before I tell you all this, are you going to put me in the friend zone?" "Wait," he said. "What?" "Are you going to friend zone me if I tell you everything and if I really open up to you? Because I come with a lot," I said. "No," he said. I suppose I could have stopped there, but I was on a roll. "Because you didn't kiss me on our date," I said. "I know," he said. "I could tell you wanted to be kissed." "But it was Kiss the Girl," I said. "I don't know what your deal is." "Sing with me now." "I wasn't raised that way," he said. "I am a gentleman, and I don't kiss women on the second date." "Oh." "I lived my whole life being a gentleman," he said. "I'm just going to continue doing that." "But the song says..." "Okay, you'll have to show me you're attracted to me, because if you're not, and we're just going to be friends, then I need to know, I said. You, he said, don't be shy, are so damn sexy. My heart settled down and sped up at the same time. Was this what I wanted? I felt like all my nerve endings had lost their anchors. I told him all my stuff, all my horrible, rotten stuff. And then I got up to leave. Go on, and he kissed me. He knocked my flippers straight out of the water. Besotted, enchanted, twitter-pated. He called me as I drove home, and he said exactly the perfect right things. I lost my brain completely.